Are you trying to cut carbs and sugar for weight loss? You need to watch this video first because I'm going to save you time and energy by helping you prioritize which carbs to cut and why to see more weight and fat loss. By the end of this video, you will have a clear understanding of the difference between the different types of carbohydrates, and those are starch, sugar, and fiber, and why some carbs are good for weight loss and others are bad. Losing weight is about lowering your insulin levels, not cutting calories. It's vital that you understand how different types of carbohydrates affect blood sugar and insulin levels so you can confidently make better food choices to keep those insulin levels lower. If you like this video and you want to see more like them, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn the bell on to get notified every time I post a new video. Here are 5 things you need to know to do a low-carb diet right. And just a caveat, there is so much more I could share on this topic, but I really do want to help you focus on the right things at the right time. And if you're just getting started, I think this information is enough to get you going in the right direction. The first thing you need to know is the difference between starch, sugar, and fiber. When I first start working with my clients, most don't have the baseline knowledge about carbs that they need to make a sound decision for which carbs to cut in the first place. They falsely assume that cutting carbs just means eating less bread and pasta. There are 3 types of carbs: starch, sugar, and fiber. Breaking that down a little bit more, there are 3 simple sugars. I'll cover these in a little more detail later in this video, but those simple sugars are glucose, fructose, and galactose. And then we have fiber. I'm not going to get into the different types of fiber today. What you need to know is that fiber is considered a negative food, meaning it passes through your body largely undigested. It doesn't raise your insulin levels, and in fact, it slows digestion and blood sugar responses, so less insulin is released. If you're with me so far, I want you to type in carbs to the comments below. The second thing you need to know is you have to get enough fiber. When people go on a low-carb diet, they often fail to get enough fiber. So how much fiber do you really need in a day? Women should aim for at least 25 grams and men for at least 35 grams. Preferably that fiber is coming from real food sources and not just supplements. Check my description below where I link to a great blog post that covers the benefits of fiber for weight loss and disease prevention and has helpful tables with foods that are high in fiber according to their food group. Elaborating on my first point, the third thing that you need to know is how glucose and fructose are metabolized differently. Starch is found in things like bread, pasta, flour, rice, oats, etc. Remember those 3 simple sugars that I mentioned earlier, glucose, fructose, and galactose? Well, starch is just many molecules of glucose strung together. That's why you may have heard it said that starch is just sugar. Starch is many simple sugars strung together. Starches will be broken down into those individual glucose molecules. The elevated glucose in your blood will raise your insulin levels. It's important to note that glucose can be metabolized anywhere in your body. So if you have a lot of extra glucose in a meal, say you ate a lot of pasta or bread, the damage is relatively dispersed throughout your body. Now let's talk about why added sugar is so much worse for your health than starchy foods. There are 2 main categories of sugar: natural sugar and added sugar. There are also 2 main types of natural sugar. You may have heard about fructose, and that's the sugar that's found naturally in fruit, but many fruits will also contain glucose and sucrose. Remember that glucose is one of the simple sugars, and sucrose is just one molecule each of glucose and fructose. Lactose is a sugar found naturally in dairy products like milk, yogurt, and cheese. And lactose is just one molecule of glucose plus one molecule of galactose. Added sugar is sugar that is not found naturally in food, but it's added later in the processing and preparation of your food. Most added sugar is sucrose that's extracted from plants that are naturally higher in sucrose, like sugarcane. Remember that sucrose is one molecule of glucose plus one molecule of fructose. Unlike glucose that can be metabolized anywhere, fructose is primarily metabolized in the liver. Too much added sugar, especially at one time, will overload your liver and it will be converted quickly into liver fat. This liver fat contributes to insulin resistance in the liver, and it's a big culprit of inflammation and belly fat. This brings me to my fourth point, and that's that added sugar is worse for you than starch. Because the excess fructose and added sugar contributes directly to fatty liver and insulin resistance, it's actually worse for you than starchy foods like bread and pasta that only have glucose, and that glucose can be metabolized anywhere in the body. Now, that's not free rein to eat those refined starchy foods. I still think that you should work to cut them from your normal everyday diet. My point is that if you're looking to cut carbs, you need to be instead thinking about cutting added sugar because it's way worse for your health. Added sugar is going to make you fatter, sicker, quicker than starchy foods. That's one of the reasons why people who eat a ton of rice or whole food carbohydrate sources can stay relatively slim if their added sugar intake is low. Now, if a light bulb just went off in your head about the difference between starch and sugar and why added sugar is so bad for you, I just want you to type sugar in the comments below so I know you're with me. So how much added sugar is too much? The American Heart Association recommends women have no more than about 24 grams of added sugar in a day, and men have no more than about 36 grams of added sugar in a day. And for reference, one single can of Pepsi has 41 grams of added sugar. Now, starting in 2020, food manufacturers are supposed to put how much added sugar is in a food product on the food label. So please be looking at your food labels, looking at the grams of added sugar, and not just the total grams of carbs. The last point I want you to remember is please don't switch out one poison for another. If you're looking to go low carb, please don't instead just be eating a ton of artificial sweeteners. Many of these will still raise your insulin levels, even though they don't directly affect blood sugar levels. That's why diet pop has not been shown to help with weight loss. And in many research studies, if you drink diet pop, you're actually shown to be heavier. Remember, it's not about calories, it's about insulin. And further, artificial sweeteners will trigger an incomplete reward loop in your brain. So you think that you're getting sweet calories, but then you don't. So you're actually more likely to continue to crave sweet stuff after you have foods that have artificial sweeteners. You're best just to stick with whole, real, minimally processed carbs. And to learn more about those, download my ultimate food guide that I linked to in the description below. So tell me in the comments, what was your single biggest takeaway or insight or aha moment from this video? I would love to know. And please don't forget to look through the description after watching this video. I have a ton of free resources there for how to lose weight, how to reduce your sugar intake, and how to get healthy. So be sure that you check those out. And if you like this video, please hit the like button below, share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe and turn the bell on to get notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.